I once believed I understood love, that it could be measured by effort, attention, and how quickly someone ran after you when you walked away. But I was wrong. Painfully wrong. My name's Lauren. I'm 32. And for 8 years, I thought my husband, Ethan, and I were living proof that real love still existed. He wasn't perfect, quiet, thoughtful, the kind of man who fixed things before you even realized they were broken. But in the small moments of our life, the coffee waiting on the counter, the car warmed on cold mornings, he spoke through gestures instead of words. Somewhere along the way, I stopped listening. It began with small doubts, the kind that grows slowly when routine takes over. He worked longer hours. I stayed up scrolling longer at night. The silence between us wasn't angry, just tired. When my friends joked about testing their boyfriends, about making them jealous, something reckless inside me paid attention. Maybe I wanted to feel chased again. Maybe I just wanted to feel wanted again. That's how Daniel appeared. He was a coworker, charming, confident, loud, everything Ethan wasn't. He noticed everything, the shade of my lipstick, the way I bit my lip when I was nervous. He laughed easily and made me feel seen in ways I hadn't in years. At first, it was innocent lunches and long messages. Then one night, after another meaningless argument with Ethan, Daniel said, "You can stay at my place for a few days, clear your head." And I did. I told myself it was an experiment, that I'd see if Ethan would fight for me, show emotion, beg, chase, prove that the quiet man I married still burned for me. It was manipulation disguised as curiosity. But I was too lost in my own loneliness to care. When I packed my bags, Ethan didn't yell. He didn't plead. He just stood there in the doorway, eyes tired but steady, and said, "If this is what you need to do, Lauren, go ahead." His calmness hurt more than any anger could. The first few days at Daniel's felt thrilling. A new place, new attention, new validation. He cooked dinner, played music, told me I deserved passion and excitement. I laughed at his jokes and tried to ignore the tightening knot in my chest with every passing hour. I waited for Ethan to call. He didn't. I checked his social media. Nothing. No posts, no hints, just silence. The longer it went on, the more desperate I felt. I told Daniel it was strange, Ethan not even trying to reach out. Daniel shrugged. Maybe he's finally realizing he can't control you. But that wasn't it. Ethan never tried to control me. He just loved me in quiet ways I never learned to value. A week later, I went back to the house, pretending I needed more clothes. Ethan wasn't home. The rooms felt different, emptier, colder, like they had learned how to live without me. In the kitchen, the mug I gave him on our anniversary sat upside down on the rack. Our wedding photo was gone. When he came home that night, I was still there, sitting on the couch, rehearsing an apology I didn't know how to say. He looked surprised, not angry. "You left some things," he said simply. I just wanted to talk. I managed." He nodded, sitting across from me. His voice was calm, almost detached. "You wanted to see how much I loved you, right? By leaving." I froze. He knew. He continued softly, "If I gave you the space you wanted, maybe you'd see that love doesn't live in chasing. It lives in staying, even when the other person doesn't notice." There was no bitterness, just exhaustion. The kind that comes when someone accepts what they can't fix. That's when I finally understood. I hadn't tested his love. I'd tested his breaking point. I didn't know what to say. The words I'd rehearsed. "I'm sorry." I was confused. I just wanted to feel something again. All felt small and meaningless next to his quiet truth. He didn't look at me with anger. He looked at me like someone who had already said goodbye long before I packed my bags. That hurt more than anything Daniel ever said to make me feel wanted. "I didn't mean to hurt you," I whispered. He gave a faint, tired smile. "You didn't hurt me, Lauren. You just showed me I'm not enough for you anymore. And that's okay. I've known it for a while." Something inside me cracked open. Not guilt, not regret, but recognition. I had wanted proof of his love, but he had given me proof of my own emptiness. I told him I wanted to come home, that Daniel meant nothing, that I just wanted us to talk. He nodded slowly, then said, Home isn't a place you leave and walk back into, Lauren. It's something you build every day. And once you stop building, it's gone. I went back to Daniel's that night, but nothing felt right. His jokes were too loud, his compliments too practiced. The air felt heavy, not with love, but with noise pretending to be it. 2 days later, I packed again, this time with nowhere to go. I left a note on Daniel's table. You were never the test. I was. I drove to the park where Ethan and I took our engagement photos 8 years ago. Late autumn. The trees thinning. The air holding that quiet sadness before winter. I sat on a bench and tried to remember what it felt like to believe love was simple, that two people could just choose each other, again and again, without games or conditions. When I finally went home again, not to stay, just to see him, the locks had been changed. I stood there for a long time, staring at the door, realizing that this was the moment the test ended, and I had failed. A few days later, I got a letter. No anger, no accusations, just a plain white envelope with his handwriting. Inside was a single sheet. Lauren, I loved you more quietly than I should have. Maybe that was my mistake. I thought steadiness was enough. You wanted proof. You left to find love that looked louder, brighter, newer. I hope you find what you're searching for, even if it's not me. Ethan. No bitterness, no drama, just peace written in calm ink. I cried harder reading that letter than I ever did leaving him. Because love, I finally understood, isn't performance. It's in the pauses, the silence that still feels safe. Months passed. I moved to a small apartment outside the city, started therapy, and cut contact with Daniel completely. Sometimes I saw Ethan's name in friends' stories, hiking trips, new places, always smiling. He looked at peace, and I couldn't hate him for finding it without me. One night, I sat on my balcony, thinking about everything, the tests, the games, the insecurities I mistook for strength. I realized I had confused attention with affection, reaction with love. I wanted him to chase me because I didn't know how to sit still and be loved quietly. People talk about heartbreak like it happens all at once, in one explosion. But it happens in pieces. Every time you realize what you took for granted, every moment you replay where you could have chosen differently. Ethan had passed every silent test: patience, loyalty, forgiveness. The only one he failed was the one no one should ever face: proving love to someone who stopped believing in it. I still keep that letter in a drawer, folded and worn at the edges. Sometimes I read it just to remind myself, love doesn't vanish. It only changes shape when you stop holding it. And if I ever get another chance, I'll never test love again. I'll trust it. I'll build it. Because I learned too late, love isn't something to test. It's something to protect.